Welcome back, my subscribers. In this video, I want to talk about a telephoto that is so compact and not a lot of people are talking about. The Rokinon or Samyang 100mm VAF Cine autofocus lens. Now yes, I said Cine autofocus lens. This is the only lens that exists right now that has integrated autofocus and is a Cine lens. Now, I say Cine with quotations because the definition or the traditional definition of a Cine lens might not match or quite match what this lens is, but there are certain qualities that do make this align with what a Cine lens actually is. And I'll talk about a little bit of those, but most of my conversation with you today is about my thoughts on this super compact telephoto lens. Now, why did I get this in the first place? There's a couple of reasons. One, I have the A7C2, and if you have a similar camera, whether it's the 2, the R, ZV-E1, or anything that's compact, even an FX-3 or FX-30, usually, I feel like we're moving towards wanting or preferring lenses that match the sizes of the body with the weight. There's nothing wrong with using your A7R5 or A7S3 with a bigger lens, but at least for these newer cameras that are more slim and compact in form, I feel like it just makes sense and it's a little bit easier to manage when the lens matches the camera. We do have a lot of nice options right now with Sony for compact lenses, and there's a lot of primes and now a lot of zoom lenses that are very compact and will add to your everyday kit, making it super easy to just throw in the bag and bring with you anywhere. So in the spirit of that, I was looking for a telephoto lens. Probably knowing that a telephoto zoom is significantly larger, like a 70-200, or even the Tamron that's 70 to 180, it is slightly bigger. I think it's a 6-inch, 7-inch lens in length. What if you want something lighter than that? Traditionally, I feel like I'd go for an 85, but I wanted something a little bit different. And I was very interested when I came across this 100mm T2.3. Now, what does that mean when you're putting it on the camera? It's a 100mm full frame at f-stop 2.2. Now, that is in itself a very unique offering that no other manufacturer has right now, especially with autofocus. So I was really interested. This is actually part of their Cine autofocus line, where they've made 4 or 5 lenses, I believe, going from 24, or I think it starts at 24, going to 100, all with T-stops of 2.3 or T to 1.9, you know, the majority of them are 1.9s, which is an f1.8. And the cool thing is they all match in, well, they all similarly match, except for this one, in terms of size and weight, which is amazing. So they basically matched the styling and the sizing of 5 lenses that you can get, prime lenses, that have all been color matched, which is, don't quote me on that, that is part of the advertising. Color matched, weather sealed, with autofocus, and supposed to be able to handle up to 8K quality for video work. My uses are a hybrid user, so I wanted to test this out as a photographer and as a videographer. I'll just tell you up front, I was very happy with the image quality. It is one of those lenses where it doesn't hit, and if you have had Samyang and Rokinon, you'll be familiar with this. They're not ultra sharp, but they're not soft either. So you do get that middle ground where it's a nice image and it's sharp enough to it not being distracting, using it for portraiture, and then it's not too sharp where it will impact your video quality that you're trying to go off, you know, for a more cinematic look. So throughout this video, I'm going to be showing you photo and video samples that I've been taking with this lens. I think I've used it pretty extensively to make up my mind on it and tell you who I think this is for and if you should get it or not. So overall, it is an impressively light lens. When I first took it out of the box, I could not believe it's a 100mm at 2.2. So this thing is really lightweight. I mean, it's made of plastic, and sure, you don't want to drop it or anything, but it is weather sealed. It is providing autofocus, and for being a 100mm, it's actually smaller than the Viltrox 85 1.8. Now, one thing I do want to point out, why would you pick this 100 over an 85, which there's way more options for? And that would only be for two reasons. One would be you want a little bit more compression, similar to, you know, that hype that's around the Sigma 105 1.4 or the famous Nikon 105 1.4. 100 does give you a slightly different look than 85, but not quite 135. So you're getting like a little bit of the best of both worlds with this 100. And the other one is at 2.2 f-stop. This is a unique offering. Most lenses in this range either don't exist or are 2.8s. So having a 2.2, making it very close to what a 1.8 or a 2.0 would give you on an 85, or, you know, we're just used to only having 100 in like a zoom lens or as a macro. Having a 2.2 is actually nice and unique because that means you'll be able to use it for portraits and to isolate your subject. So you're gonna get very nice bokeh, very nice separation. I found 100 was very easy to use, very similar to 85, with the benefit of getting that extra bump in compression that you could tell was there in the background. So who is this lens for? I highly, highly recommend it if you don't have an 85 or don't have an 85 of choice, but also don't have a 135 and you're looking at having an easy to carry with you telephoto prime to pair with your A7C, whether it's the 2, the R, the ZV-E1, any of those smaller cameras, this is a great option. It's just easy to carry, it weighs nothing. I've been carrying a very small, I think it's a 3-liter Nomad bag, and with the 52.5 attached to the A7C II, I always have, I've had this one in the pocket of that bag, and it's just a no-brainer to go from 50 to 100. You get two very different looks. Or if you're more of a 35mm shooter, 35 going to 100, you're getting two very different perspectives that are not cumbersome to carry with you no matter where you go. So I do recommend this lens if you have one of those compact cameras. Now, when it comes to video, I will tell you it is, the autofocus was reliable, but it was slightly on the slower side. I don't think it's too, it doesn't stand out too much, but I did notice it was slightly there. But again, that's part of the cinematic look. So if you're looking for a smooth roll off from, or it's not smooth roll off, if you're looking for a smooth transition of focus point to focus point, this does have that benefit, and you can actually program the lens to go from one focal length, to go from one focus distance to another focus distance. So there are capabilities built in making this a little bit more for video. It does have the tally light at the very front of the lens. It will turn red when you're recording. It'll turn red at the side to indicate you're recording. So those are just a bit of the neat features. Personally, during the day, like I'm shooting B-roll here and there, like I didn't really care for the lighting, little tally light, because I wasn't aiming at myself, so I never really quite saw it. I was just looking at the camera. But if you're recording yourself like this, or if you're in a production type thing, it is neat, I guess, to see whether you're recording or not. So overall, it's a great lens. I think it does great for photo and for video. It's so easy to carry. I think that's just the benefit, the number one benefit of this lens. Easy to carry, good enough image quality with sharpness, good colors. I'd say it is on the more warmer side compared to Sony lenses, which are a little more cooler green. This was a little warmer. I think Rokinon is just known for having a warmer color anyway. So some of you might like that. And if you don't, I mean, you'll just have to adjust your white balance. I'm still impressed every time I've connected it to the A7C II of how easy and light it is to use this lens. And when I'm walking about, I have 100mm on the camera, and it doesn't feel like I have 100mm on the camera because it's so light and it's short. It's just a great lens. I think it's a good addition. I think it is a bit of a sleeper because most people aren't looking for this lens, but when you're comparing price points, I would say you'd have to really want to be getting something outside of the 85 norm or the 135 that we typically are used to seeing. So if you want to take that extra uniqueness to it, this 100 will fit well with a 35, like I said, or a 50, or even wider. I mean, if you're even using like the 24 to 50 with these compact cameras, you drop in a 100, basically the same size. It's just an easy 2-lens combo to do almost everything. And going into APS-C mode, you know, like for 4K 60 or something, like you're gonna get, yeah, if you shoot in 4K 60, you're gonna get a 150mm equivalent with this 2.2, which is great. So check it out if you haven't. I think the price is okay. I would wait for a sale, or if you can get it used, do that. But I think for what it's offering, it is unique. 600, 700 is where the pricing is right now. I could see it dropping to 5, and it would be more of a more convincing deal. So just be on the lookout for that. Try it out yourself. I think it's a good lens. Thanks for watching.